I have a hoverer. Tiffany Gaines, host of the Seekers podcast. This is an introduction, a brief introduction for part two of the Tiffany and Alicia video. That's Alicia. I've gotten several comments, people asking me, bugging me about when am I going to see Tiffany suffering with her wife again. I know that's what you want to see. You want to see me suffering with my bride again. Okay, so it's part two of the video. We have one more release. I hope you will find it interesting. Would you like to have a word to say?
I just want you to stop lying to the people.
The abuse I take. Seekers podcast, part two of Tiffany and Alicia. I think it's called Wifey Video. Pray, touch, and agree. We have a guest in studio as well who chooses not to be on camera. Would you at least like to say something?
Hello.
It's a small child posing as an adult. Enjoy the video. Like and subscribe, please. I'll give you 50 cents. Like and subscribe.
Thank you, paying subscribers. Yeah, I want you to stop.
So, I think the friendship is kind of what drew us together. We got to know each other. A breakfast talk on the application submitted connected us. We realized, okay, there is something there. There is some sort of vibe or some sort of connection. But, the big I word, identification, because there's still a roadblock here. I had previously been in a relationship with someone else before the someone that I was dating at the time. And I was in that relationship for 3 years, but Alicia was not yet, had not ever dated a female. And so, what I have learned since then is that, you know, um, man, identification, I think, is a big thing in the world, and how people identify is a big thing. I don't personally think it's a big thing. I don't think it should be. I won't say it's not.
Right.
I don't think it should be. I just feel like as beings, as spiritual beings, I just think love and who you're connected to or drawn to is too complicated of a thing to kind of assign, this or that, gay or heterosexual, or then we have the bisexual. But I think it's just too complicated of a thing. My personal definition of identification is, I just kind of think we have meters, and I think your meter could be from 0 to 100. It could be 10, 20, 30, 40, 100, or it could be 0. I don't want to leave that number out. It could be absolutely 0. It could be absolutely 100. But I just think it's too complicated. I think love is too involved of an emotion. If we think about, God and God's eternal love and God's unconditional love, I think love is just too complicated to just say this or that. Or and there's a few of us who are just in between. But so I don't really identify. But if somebody asked me, gun to my head, if a gunman said, "Hey, who do you identify as right now? Tell me," and I'd say, "Well," with my hand shaking, "Could we talk about it, Mr. Gunman? I really don't have an absolute identification, but I could provide an explanation," is what I would say. You see, I think that I would say that. As I'm pleading for my life, I would. But I don't believe in identification. So
it's almost, but you explained it so perfectly. It's in society, it's almost like that's the perfect analogy, because it's almost like that's what they make you feel. People make you feel or you just think that, okay, people have to put you somewhere, whether they know it or not.
Right.
They're going to put you somewhere. And so I think, yeah, it's important for people to know. I mean, they could be looking like the craziest person because not knowing exactly the truth or what you feel or what you identify with, whether you identify or not. But it's almost like that's it. Somebody putting a gun to your head. They have to know. You have to choose,
Right, because you can't
decide
do.
something.
And so we feel like society has kind of put
Yeah.
this absolute determination on it. And so then there are those of us who just like really don't believe in identifying. You just are drawn to people. You just are attracted to people.
Yeah.
Um, I can go down this rabbit hole with a lot of things.
Right.
But just to kind of keep it on topic, you know, but because of the societal norms,
Mm.
and I think societal pressures, here's someone who now has to deal with, oh Lord, what does this say about me? Now I'm interested in this female. I've never dated a female.
Mm.
What does it say about me? How do I feel about it? Because you're growing up in a society that in uh, I mean, Lord, I mean, I think we're much more progressive as a society now, but in certain communities or
Thankfully.
certain it's you looked at funny and you were treated a certain
Yes.
kind of way. And so now here's somebody, because I went through that too. I went through that as a young person, and I tried to pray my way into living into a different truth, or a more accepted truth, but it was never really my truth. But I tried to live into the accepted truth, and it just didn't work for me. I never remained authentic in my feelings. But I'd gone through that, and so this was somebody who was
Hmm.
contemplating that. She's feeling one thing, but dealing with a different type of pressure. And what was that going to look like? Your favorite
And
thing to say.
right.
What is it going to
Yes.
look like?
What? Yeah.
Now I'm
What?
interested in this broad.
Right. And so to just the regular everyday person who sees you and may not even know you, but sees you, in relationship with this, same sex person, or especially, or to your family and friends. Yeah, that's my thing. What, so what does this look like for me? What does it look like to you? I mean,
How am
and
I going to tell my family?
yeah.
Because,
And so, yeah, that's what people, it's to a lot of people. And then during that time, of course, that was one of the things that was most important, oh, what the optics, this, what does family think? What will friends think? Hmm. So, and to me at the time, I wasn't thinking in any way of trying to be one thing or the other and not trying to identify because
hold on a second. Hold on a second. Let the people hear. Let
yeah,
the people listen in the
what
background.
time is it? It's,
Well, we'll figure it
yeah,
out.
hold on.
We'll
Let
figure
it
it out.
finish. Let it finish.
This is your fault.
Let it finish. I love I love my clock.
And it's probably already done this, but we just didn't
Yeah,
pay attention.
that's true. That's okay.
Okay. So
We
in the
can
background, here's a small clock. It sounds like a big old grandfather clock, and the volume's down on it. But it's my mother's clock, and my wife hates it when she can't hear it. So she turned it up. And so it chimes every 15 minutes and every hour on the hour.
I love
So
it.
we know now that it's 10 o'clock because it just chimed 10 times. So
Well, it makes me think about my mother-in-law. I love the clock.
clearly, I love the
Um,
clock too. I just turn it down because sometimes it's like, you have people over and then they're looking for a big old grandfather clock. And I point to the little clock right there on the shelf, and everybody's like, is that thing? Is that clock? That's it. So that's what that was. Go ahead. Go ahead.
um, well, I forgot where I was, but yeah, I think what was I saying about the not identifying, that wasn't something that was so important to me at the time because you know the funny thing is even growing up where we did and how we did, everything super religious and the church, going to church every Sunday all day, it, in the black community, that was the thing. We knew of and heard of gay people and what same sex couples were about. It's definitely not something you saw around all the time. You just knew what it was about. And so, but I never really felt any way um against people who I thought were gay or um or lesbian or just any way about anybody, I guess, that society views as different. These people are different. So I just couldn't connect with it that way. So it wasn't a negative thing to me, about what I was experiencing with you. And I just knew that,
Towards me, it wasn't a negative
yeah,
thing,
towards you or any,
but
yeah,
about you, it might have been a scary thing.
yeah, a scary thing. So I think from the beginning, I knew that I was never going to just say, well, whatever. I'm gay. I'm lesbian. I like when I started thinking, oh, well, what if I did date a woman? What if I dated this woman? What if I dated other women? Who knows what I'd be feeling because after going through, after building our friendship and being in close relationship and falling in love with, the person who I was falling in love with, just trying not to focus on the fact that this was a woman. It was just easy for right. That was the only time it would come up. That was the only time that feeling or thought of having to be one thing or the other would even come up.
Yeah.
So, whatever. That's a long way of saying all that to say that girl, I don't identify one way or another. And
Still
you
don't.
call me gay or lesbian if you want to. You can say what you want to say behind my back, but if you don't know, think what you want.
America, don't
Think
play
what
with
you
her.
may, but please don't slip up in my face because you don't know. And so I'm in love with my wife. I'm in love with my person. Um, and I think we both can greatly appreciate and love the male essence and male physique.
We look
The
at them
male
together,
physique
America.
and male essence. And yeah.
We look at men together. People are oftentimes shocked. I get to flirt without, because the man never expects it. And so they don't take me seriously.
Right.
So I get to compliment men all the time. I get to feel their backs, their chest. Nobody expects it because they like, it's not serious. Okay. But we do look at guys together and we compliment them together. So that's kind of something funny that we do. Terry used to call me rotten to the core because if we would get in the elevator with, a nice smelling man when we were at this nameless law firm, I would always be the one who would freely compliment because I felt like nobody would be expecting me.
Right.
And I still do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I still do that. So yeah, so Alicia does not subscribe to the heading of gay or lesbian. Don't call her that, American.
Bisexual, whatever. I mean,
she is just a nameless creature. And if the gunman was to my head, I do identify more, I think, emotionally with women, but I think physically, if somebody made me pick, I think that men are more physically attractive, not than my wife. Be clear. But if somebody said, "Hey, who do you think, if you could just have one picture for the rest of your life of you, what you would want to look at?" I would pick a picture of Chris Evans.
You're different. Confusing.
It is confusing for people who don't.
But I mean, it could be confusing. I could be confusing people. I don't care. Truth of the matter is, I get it. Yes, what I identify more emotionally with, I think it's safe to say, and this may be scary, but you're not different. A lot of women feel that way. That's, I haven't gotten into statistics, but if we could take a look inside a lot of the female mind and just the feelings and emotions. I don't know. I think a lot of women can identify emotionally more with women. That's just normal. There's nothing wrong with that. I think
women are more emotional creatures, and more nurturing
But
creatures, and it's easier for women to bond more because they are, for the most part, more free with
right.
emotions, more liberal with expression.
And
So
so and that's what draws me more to a straight man, a man who identifies more as straight and can get in touch with he can get in touch with that side, then that's a different story. That's, that's because what do I say all the time? That nothing is sexier to me than a man who is,
cries.
oh, that is the sweetest thing. That either cries or can really just opens up with his feelings, and it's almost like afraid or of being judged for doing so.
So then you can just kind of hold it strong back, hold him
Right.
to your bosom. You just hold him close. Mm.
Oh, shame. Okay,
Mm.
so
Yeah, anyway, so that's how we kind of feel on identification. Neither of us really like it. We don't identify. I don't. People can say what they want. I don't
yeah,
argue against the outer appearance narrative, but I just think that we're too complicated of a being to just kind of really be slotted somewhere. If you think about it, I mean, we can have a palate that likes a variety of vegetables, a variety of foods, but the most complicated thing I think about humans is our love capacity. And how is it that we can explain clearly, well, I like more than one vegetable. I like
right.
vegetables and meats. We can like meat and vegetables, and that's just food. But love, going back to God and unconditional, and depending on what spiritual version you subscribe to, the love of God is unconditional,
Mhm.
forgiving, and the lowest of the low has the unconditional love of God. Yet human love, we want to
Mhm.
kind of slot it and box it in, and I just think that love is a overflowing river, and it just kind of goes where it goes, and it doesn't mean that you have to, you know it doesn't mean that you don't feel what you feel. I mean, there are people who just have limitations with who they are attracted to. I truly believe that there are some people who just, no, I'm not down with same sexness. Don't
Same
see it, don't
sexiness.
understand. I totally respect that, because there are just some cutoffs. But I just think that it's not impossible to think about love spilling over or just kind of mixing in, like a marble cake. And so
Mm,
I think that our relationship is a good example of love just kind of mixing in, overflowing into, a soul connection, and not, and beyond the realm of, just
yeah.
the physical eye, So I think that's the truth, but that's my truth. Doesn't mean that that's everybody's truth. But I think that we've both learned some different things about each other. And one of the things that I had to learn too is, on our journey, is I didn't learn it, I realized it much later, is that, as we progressed, I should have been more sensitive about the time that you probably needed to grieve and process, what
Oh
you
yeah.
were, the life that you were letting go.
Yeah.
I had already gone through it, and in my
Yeah.
mind, I've always felt like you love who you love, and that should just be it.
Right.
And you work out the outer kinks, but what's inward is just true. And you just find a way to make it happen. But it's not that easy for everybody. And my wife had to go through and grieve.
Grieving a loss.
Yeah,
Mhm.
grieving a loss,
Uh, yeah. Or
grieving a life, a lifestyle, a quote unquote identification.
mm,
And so that was difficult for her. And that was not something that I realized until much later, is that I should have been more supportive in, that process
hmm.
for her.
I like that. Yeah, more supportive and more patient. Um, yeah. Okay. Let me fix myself.
Okay.
Let me take an intermission.
Sometimes America, you don't like everybody. Sometimes I don't like my wife.
We know that's a lie.
That is
Now, I've
absolutely a
said
lie.
that before, if that's true that we feel that way sometimes. But,
No, I don't feel that way.
oh,
We get on each other's nerve every blue moon, but I don't
right.
feel that way. Um, Family is a big thing for us. I think that the my wife's family is super important to her, and we I have I think a great family support. My family, one of my biggest regrets is that I was too afraid to be honest with my family, and I cheated my family out of an opportunity to be here for my wedding because I just presumed that they would not be supportive, and I was totally wrong about that. And yeah, but and I mean, a lot of my family, not a lot, every person that I talked to in my family was like, why didn't you say, well, why not? And, gave me all this unconditional love. And I felt like a fool. Man, I felt like a fool. But they were great and they were supportive. I just didn't know. I was living in a prison of fear and just chose to just kind of avoid that road and was like, you know what? Ain't nobody gonna come no way. Blah, blah, blah. They're gonna think what they think. Oh, well, why would they? But I was wrong. My family's been amazing and has always been supportive. Um, I think, your family is my family now.
Mm-hmm.
We went through some growing pains, but now I love them
Yeah.
peoples. And now I got an extended set of peoples. Um,
Aw,
yeah, they're
that's
great.
so
They're
sweet.
great. They're great. So I think that we learned some things, honesty,
Mm-hmm.
be honest
Yeah.
regardless. I think that's the thing that we
Yeah,
learned.
I think that's the biggest part because just the way you thought about your family, just kind of assuming leaving them out because you were too afraid of the reaction. Me not being afraid, just automatically knowing, what the feeling was, what the reactions, would be, and just kind of, closing out, intentionally closing out because there was just no acceptance, there was no, you know even opportunity to try to be open and share. But that was one of the biggest things. I know that would have been most helpful for everybody to feel like, well, at least they're opening up and sharing,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
you just keeping people kind of in the know, and whether or
Right.
not they were going to
Right.
accept it or
Right.
respect it, or
Yeah.
that you would have already done
Right part.
your
We
part.
should have put it all out there and let the chips fall,
Yeah.
and but instead, we kind of walked in, you
Yeah.
know, an assumption that,
Hmm.
hey, why, and well, you see,
Right. Yeah.
so okay, I was wrong. Oh, we good. It was just like, you know, wow. Yeah, but it's still best to just walk in complete honesty and just whatever
Hmm.
your truth is your truth. And what will be will be. So
Yeah.
yeah, if we could go back and do one thing all over again, it would be just to be totally upfront with our story and our relationship and give people time to process, give people time to cheer, give
Right.
people time to grieve, give people time to come around and accept. But it truly just made things complicated, without the information being forward and having to go back and
Hmm.
sweep up and re-explain. It made the road harder. And I hurt some feelings in my family, and there was some feelings hurt in your family, but it just, the societal pressures to, you know, just say it. The weather forecast was not sunny days. And so we just kind of walked around with an
Right.
umbrella walked around. They gonna rain on us, and so we were just walking around with an umbrella. And somebody moved the umbrella and said, "Y'all know it ain't raining out here, right?" Oh, it's not. You know, but that's how we was walking around. I think that's how society prepped us for this journey. It's gonna rain? Listen, you're black, you're from the South, you're
supposed to be religious.
It's gonna rain on this thing. So carry your umbrella, and that's what we did. And it sprinkled. It rained a little bit, and but
yeah, I thought about the little boy on The Color Purple. I'm sure your Color Purple fanatic will be able to appreciate this part. I'm thinking about the little boy on The Color Purple when he said that. He said, "It's gonna rain on your head."
That's what we thought.
You asked Chandra.
Yeah,
I know she'll know that exact
Shout out
part.
Sister Owens. Shout out Sister Owens.